My name is Howard Klein. I work for Linwood Management Group. I work between two large farms, Synergy and Noblehurst Farms. And I've been in the insemination industry for since 1992. I'm an artificial insemination technician. I actually am kind of a reproductive manager, as I work with the manager, the owner, and the veterinarian to develop a reproduction program to try to improve the herd. My job varies quite a bit because I also give injections of either Lutalice, prostaglandin shots, or GnRH. Those fall on 2 different days. So I arrive at my job in Synergy at about 6 a.m. I will do the heat detection and breeding first. If it's shot day, I will do Lut shots on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll do GnRH shots in the afternoon. Thursday is my big day. That is the day that I'm breeding all those cows that we're giving all these shots to. Last Thursday, I bred 65 cows. That's pretty commonplace when you're a artificial insemination technician working for a company like Genix or something like that. Your average day for that company would probably be 30 or 40. You'll get up in the 60s sometimes. The most I ever did in one day was 96 by myself. So that was a pretty busy day. Yeah, first thing you have to do is make sure that the cow is restrained in some sort of chute or a headlock or some sort. And then as you obviously go up and load up your guns and get your equipment all ready and your sleeve on and stuff like that. As you approach the cow, just approach quietly and calmly, let her know you're there, gently touch her, and then you have to have some lubricant on your hand and gently massage her, and that will help her relax and also give you easier entry into the cow. So you insert your arm into the rectum, and what you're feeling for is the cervix that's in there. The cervix is kind of a fibrous structure that's in there. And so you have to get the manure out of the way, you find the cervix, and then you wipe the cow off, you put your V-spreader in place, and then you insert your gun, and then you try to manipulate the gun through the cervix with your left hand that's inside the cow. And then once you feel that you're in the correct spot inside the cow, you deposit the semen, and then you're pretty much done. I also help the veterinarian with putting embryos in some of the cows. Everything is just trying to help the farmer reach his reproductive goals, and it's different for every farmer. My day starts at 6 a.m. every day. How my day goes depends on the setup of the reproductive systems for each farm. Most of them give their Lutalice shots on Monday or Tuesday, and then they'll give GnRH shots on Wednesday and breed on Thursday. The GnRH shots have to be given like 16 hours before you breed the cow. So knowing those things, I can work my day around everything else as far as the arriving on the farm, doing the heat detection, doing the breeding, and then when I do have free time, that's when I go and help like the herdsmen on the farm do something, whatever is needed of me, delivering calves or helping with surgeries or whatever else we need to do. Certain shots have to be given at certain times. In between there, I also do other things too. I'm like a jack of all trades. I can help with the treated cows and do all that stuff too. My day ends at 4 p.m. My lunch is up to me. I usually eat on the road between the two farms because that's just what I like to do. I don't want to stretch my day out any longer than 10 hours is my day. So I eat on the go. Lots of farmers do that. On the weekends when I'm on, I do half a day Sunday and half a day Monday. I have every other weekend off, basically 10 hours a day, and I have every other weekend off. I grew up on a small family farm. We had 35 cows, and every cow had a name and a stall. And when I graduated from school, I went to work at a larger farm. I wasn't a college person. It just wasn't something I was interested in. So I worked on a larger farm, 150 cow dairy. I was with them for a while, and they taught me a lot of things. You know, how to IV a cow and how to set up for the shots for breeding purposes and stuff like that. And then I left there and worked at a bigger farm, a 250 cow herd, and pretty much the same thing, but just continued my education, and that is where I learned how to breed cows. And I basically took a course, a 3-day weekend course, and I learned how to breed cows, and from that day on, he just let me breed all the cows. And then from there, I went to work at a 1,600 cow dairy up in Bethany, and it was the same thing, just a lot more of it. So I basically learned everything I've learned on the job. And then from there, I eventually went to Gen X and worked there for 8 years and learned a lot of things there, mostly about people than cows, because I already knew a lot about cows. But no, it's been very, very interesting learning on the job, and that's pretty much the way I got to where I am today. When I was in school, I took every agricultural thing they had, and luckily for me, I went to Pioneer Central School District in Yorkshire, Arcade area, and they had a very good ag program at the time. So I took a lot of animal husbandry, physiology, shop class, ag mechanics, a lot of that. I didn't do BOCES only because they had so much at the high school that I could take advantage of, but I would greatly encourage people to do BOCES, anything hands-on. Any agricultural FFA is a good thing. I was in FFA too. That teach you some leadership skills. Some of the most important skills you'd have to have is you'd have to be, first thing, you have to be very patient with the cows and learn how to deal with them, their behaviors. That's very important, because once you get that, learning how to breed cows at first was the hardest part. After that, it was the people skills that became the more difficult part. Dealing with the different management types and their styles and things like that. So some people skills would be a good thing. Time management, you do have to learn how to manage your time to keep everything so you can get done at the end of the day. Otherwise, things can just spin out of control, and first thing you know, you're buried and it's quitting time and you can't go. Patience, kindness, time management. A farmer expects you to do exactly what they want, what they're paying you to do. And they want the cow bred to the correct bull, and they want everything done, the shots given in a timely fashion, the correct amount of shots, the amount of cc's. They don't want to be wasting money. They don't want you wasting your time either, because most time you can be getting paid by the hour. I said it depends if you already know how to breed cows or not. If you go like to work for Gen X, they will take you for 2 weeks training in Wisconsin, and then when you start, you could probably expect to start around $40,000, I would imagine. And then as you develop more and more skills, depending on how you prove yourself to your employer, you can certainly add to that by quite a lot. You could, $70,000 I don't think would be out of the question. What I like most about my job is I don't really punch a time clock, and that's just the situation that I'm in. But I can show up on time. I always do, and I pretty much organize my own day, and I'm responsible for my own day and my own time, and I have to justify my decisions to the owner, and it's also nice. They actually ask my opinion sometimes, and I can give them suggestions as to what I think would help them in the long run. So yeah, things like that. The most challenging things is the weather, because in the winter it is extremely cold and uncomfortable. In the summer it can be extremely hot and uncomfortable. It's a dirty job. There's no getting around it. Sometimes you do get some wild animals that are hard to control. Not every farmer has a good system to lock their animals up and restrain them. So another skill that you would need is the ability to think on your feet and adjust, because not everything's cut and dried and the same. You need to figure a way to get the job done. Not only for the safety of the cow, but for your own safety too. I started out as a laborer, and then I became a milker and then a herdsman just through working on different farms. And when I learned how to breed cows, I was surprised how many doors that opened up for me. I went from a 250 cow dairy to a 1600 cow dairy, and I was actually managing one of their farms for them for a while. And so, of course, that came with an increase in salary and everything too. So I think that's the most surprising thing that happened to me, is how many doors learning a new skill can open for you. If I had to tell myself something, if I could go back and change something, I guess I would say, as hard as I work, I did slack some in high school. I could have applied myself a little harder. I went with things I knew instead of pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So if I could go back, I would push myself a little harder and get out of that comfort zone and do something different. Advice I would have for someone now is never stop learning. Always try to be more than you are. Always do what's expected of you, and then try to do just a little bit more, because that will make you stand out from the crowd and bring more attention to yourself that way.